Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, the organist, choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church, and the founder, artistic director of Vocal Essence. Each day I have chosen a composer who has had a role to play at both organizations. Today it's the French composer Olivier Messiaen, a major figure in 20th century composition. He was influenced by many different things, certainly bird calls, canyons, Japanese music, many different things came into it. But he loved just the idea also of silence and holding chords for a long time. He was the organist at the Trinity Church in Paris for 60 years. So I have a ways to go before I meet that spot. And during World War II, he was imprisoned, and at the time he was in prison, he wrote a piece that's a very famous, beautiful piece called the Quartet for the End of Time. I met Messiaen when he came here in the 1970s with his wife, Yvonne Loriot, to do a concert at the Walker Arts Center. At the Guthrie Theater, the old Guthrie Theater, and it's a piece for two pianos called Vision de l'Amen. And about 5 minutes before it was to begin, the woman in charge of the concert saw me sitting there and came over and said, "Philip, Messiaen needs a page turner. What should I do?" And I said, "Don't worry about it." And I left with her, didn't say anything to Carolyn, who was sitting there, went backstage, introduced myself en français to Messiaen, and then came out on stage and turned pages. And of course, Carolyn just shook her head and went, "Of course, there he is, turning pages for Messiaen." We went out for dinner afterward, and I remember very well, because he was interested in bird calls, his comment was, "Could I please tell him about Minnesota birds?" So of course I talked about the loon, and I could remember what it was in Latin, which he needed to have. And then I gave the call, which Carolyn said was not a correct call. So I remember all of this with Messiaen, amazing, wonderful man. So he wrote a huge piano piece called 20 Glances at the Baby Jesus, 20 Regards. And I'm going to play part of one of them. To do the entire 20 glances is about 2 hours of piano playing. This is one called The Kiss of the Baby Jesus. And it says as a little subtitle, "At each communion, the baby Jesus sleeps with us near the door." I'm just translating. Then it opens onto a garden, and a huge amount of light comes in, embracing us. And so you'll hear in this piece, indeed, the feeling of light all the way through. Of course, Messiaen was known for his organ music, and we couldn't have this little demonstration of Messiaen without some music on the organ. And the piece of his that he wrote for voices, but which is beautiful on the organ, is a piece called O Sacred Feast, O Sacrum Convivium. The ensemble singers sang it several years ago at the St. Paul Cathedral, and I decided to have them not out in the actual cathedral, but back where no one could see them, back by the organ console. And it was a magical feeling to hear that sound coming. It felt like it was coming from all over the cathedral. So, if you'll join me, I'm going to go to the console here at Plymouth Church and play O Sacrum Convivium.